is always safer in the hands of the people than in the conference rooms of any elite.
Sam Seder.
They are unanimous in their hate for me, and I welcome their hatred.
We must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex.
The Majority Report with Sam Seder.
Ever get the feeling you've been cheated?
It is Tuesday, July 12th, 2022. My name is Sam Seder. This is the five-time award-winning Majority Report. We are broadcasting live steps from the industrially ravaged Gowanus Canal in the heartland of America, downtown Brooklyn, USA. On the program today, Joe Biden directs HHS to enforce federal law in providing abortion care for at-risk women at every hospital receiving federal money in the country. It's just about all of them. Good move. Meanwhile, the FDA waives over-the-counter contraceptive pills. In the January 6th hearing today at 1 p.m. Eastern to focus on the right-wing shock troops. Meanwhile, Trump's White House counsel supposedly corroborates Hutchinson testimony. Turn the music down just a little bit. Bannon's contempt trial to go forward starts on Monday. Trump to testify this week in the New York AG case. Lindsey Graham told by the Georgia court he must testify to a special grand jury. Meanwhile, Trump and Biden's polling in the basements. Federal judge blocks Arizona's personhood law. National Labor Relations Board begins prosecuting Starbucks for 200 labor violations, and that's just in Western New York. As BA5 gains ground, the Biden administration considers a second booster for everybody under the age of 50. And Russia strikes kill 8 civilians overnight as it pounds eastern Ukraine. All this and more on today's Majority Report. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks so much for joining us. It is Tuesday. Tuesday.
Yes.
As Emma Vigeland, who is here, says. Hello, Emma.
Hello, Sam.
Are we going? We have there.
Now
you are.
we are.
Okay.
So there we
yeah,
are.
I didn't see you there.
Yes. Bradley did not want to show off my good hair day, I guess. I was just admiring
it's
it.
Matt. Matt's riding that train today.
It's Matt's fault.
Yep. Matt was a little jealous.
It's not as fun to blame Matt as it is to blame Bradley. Not as much fun. I
understand. So it is Tuesday News Day, and the big news is this move by the Biden administration, and we certainly have been critical of the Biden administration for the past couple of weeks for being very slow on the uptake, but they've obviously heard the enormous pressure that they have been getting, and it's good. We will get to that in a moment. Later this afternoon, the January 6th committee will be continuing on with its hearings. There's a primetime one planned. I don't know if it's planned for later this week or next week. We're not quite sure yet.
I think according to Politico, they rescheduled it for next week. Actually,
so next
Thursday
week,
one.
And so we will see what that one brings. But they sat down last week, and there has been some indications that the former White House counsel to Donald Trump corroborated everything that Hutchinson, who was the essentially right-hand person to Mark Meadows, the chief of staff. Nasty girl, crazy. Corroborated everything she said. And so they're starting to sort of like, I don't know, this is the chapter in the book where some of the through lines, like for the first like 5 chapters, you're like, wait, what? Who's this dude? Why am I following this? And this is the chapter where it starts to feel like we're getting into where all of a sudden they all show up at the crossroads, or
It's like Magnolia.
yeah. So or Magnolia. I mean, it's a broader literary and film.
No, it's like
technique.
this one.
It's like the Bob's Burgers movie.
It's like, yeah, exactly. Like you're like, hey, wait a second, what does a sinkhole have to do with? Okay. I don't want to get into that. I mean, the idea that you'd have a sinkhole and you wouldn't have the health inspector show up is just absurd. It's just bizarre.
I heard that they wrote the health inspector out, though, because the actor who plays him is such a pain to work with.
Well, no, the health inspector was in the movie. I'm just saying that
right.
from a plot standpoint, the idea that you would have a sinkhole in front of a restaurant and you wouldn't have the health inspector show up just seems to me to be
Failure in realism.
It's both sort of like a disgusting message. It
Yeah.
really ruined the message of the film. And also just from a dramatic standpoint was just absurd. Like, why wouldn't you want that clock ticking? I don't want to get into it. Like, but a sinkhole in front of the restaurant and the landlord going to prison is somehow going to make it harder for you to pay your rent? No, it's going to make it easier. What you need is some third character to come in and create some type of pressure. Like, you can't operate your restaurant, or something like that. I don't know.
But you don't want to get into it.
No, I don't. All right. So the January 6th committee hearings today, 1 p.m., are going to be covering the shock troop side of things, and I think what is going to be clear is that both Oath Keepers and the Proud Boys anticipated things happening. And both anticipated that there would be a new era after January 6th. And the Oath Keepers were sort of like had sort of rapid response troops on the perimeter of the city. I mean, it is hard to imagine that they just sort of came up with this on their own, and both groups just sort of like had this weird idea of like, well, maybe something will happen someday and there'll be some type of protest and there'll be a storming of the Capitol.
Yeah, and they also did recon. Like they were planning. Plus, it's all those guys love to cosplay like there's some sort of troop. They're doing like troop movement and intel and like what do you call what is this FBI?
Well, I think the
I can't
point,
think of the word, but anyway,
reconnaissance.
But I think in this instance, they may love to cosplay, but I think like they thought they were doing the real thing, and I think we're going to hear from about that side of things, and then I think probably next week in the prime time. Is my guess. This is just my guess, and it's completely uninformed speculation, or I should say, I don't have any inside information. I don't know what is going on with that. My camera just went berserk. I think what we're going to hear next Thursday is they're going to put together what was happening with the outside groups and what was coming from the administration. I have a feeling that's why they want to do prime time. When that connection happens, then it's off to the races. Here is Jamie Raskin, who is going to be, I think, chairing this version of the committee today. I don't know what's scheduled for the prime time one, but let's hear from Raskin.
White House counsel Pat Cipolloni has corroborated almost everything that we had learned from the prior hearings. And he had clearly tried to talk President Trump down from his efforts to override the election. I mean, he had been apparently accepting and supportive of the lawsuits. There were 8 hours of it. I was there for most of it, and I didn't hear him contradict any other witness. Well, I certainly didn't hear him contradict Cassidy Hutchinson, and I think he had the opportunity to say whatever he wanted to say. So I didn't see any I didn't see any contradiction there. Sit down.
So there it is. I mean, and Hutchinson's testimony, of course, was challenged by some of the Secret Service people, at least anonymously.
They did not go and testify and say as such, as far as we know.
They said they're open to it.
We will testify, but that's a little bit different than actually testifying.
Yes.
And we can't forget about the fact that Donald Trump was discrediting her at a rally, basically just saying she was bad at her job. I won't give any specifics, but she was really bad. Like,
yes,
total wacko.
Wacko.
Which is why she was in every meeting.
He does that with
Mark.
every. You know what's interesting about Trump in terms of like his nicknames? It is always, the women are always crazy.
Yeah.
If you notice how it was crazy Nancy Pelosi, it's crazy Lynn Cheney,
Crazy Rosie O'Donnell.
Waters, yeah.
crazy and wacko Hutchinson. I mean, they're
He only
always,
deviated with Crooked Hillary, but she
That's
was
true.
also crazy.
That's true. That's true. He did have crooked Hillary, but it's always crazy.
Yeah.
And
And
the
then
thing
with
is, like-
men, it's like insulting their physical appearance. Little Marco.
Well, little Marco, but there was also like
Or
Lion
Lion Ted. But he insulted his wife's physical appearance.
Yes, yes. But it's just interesting.
More
that
about their
it's
weakness.
always crazy
Yeah.
for the women.
Interesting.
Folks, just a reminder: this program is like 98% supported by its members. You can become a member by going to jointhemajorityreport.com. And when you do, you not only get the free show free of commercials, you also get the fun half. We have no ads today, but I did get an email, and I'm going to give them a freebie. I don't care, because I get this email, and I thought it was pretty funny. Hello, Sam. Hello, Emma. Well, I guess I didn't get it. It's for both of us. I watch your podcast nearly daily. I normally ignore the advertisements on all shows I enjoy. However, I have purchased products from Sunset Lake .com, mostly Doggy Sabbath. They are effing awesome. I really appreciate this guy, actually. I don't know if it was a guy or a woman. This person putting F **ing. They didn't even write it out to me, so I didn't have to see it. On car rides, she usually shakes the whole time due to excitement/anxiety. During our 4th of July or New Year's celebrations, she freaks the F out. Why does he write? Why is this person? They are effing awesome, and then they write she freaks the fuck out. I don't get it. All right. Anyways, Sunset Lake dog treats have been very valuable. As long as I give her the treats before the excitement, she does pretty well. Love you. Bye-bye. Well, there you go. And right now, Sunset Lake does not have a sale on the doggy treats, but they do have 35% off their tinctures with the coupon code TINCTURE.
Whoa.
So check that out. Get the 6,000 milligram one or the 3,000 milligram. I like the natural flavor. Some people like the citrus, and the mint is actually pretty good too.
I've been using that one.
The mint is good too, because if you brush your teeth before or after, it doesn't clash. Yep.
Good tip.
Yeah, little user tip. All right. So let's get into this. This is we have been pretty unsparing in our critique of the Biden administration's response to this ruling by the Supreme Court. And, and I don't think the bar that we had set was particularly high. It was, you had 6 weeks at least to prepare for something, at least perform like even do something performative, but certainly do stuff to heighten the contradiction between the two parties. Now, there is a plan in the House to vote on a series of abortion-related rules. I don't know what is going on with this. And to vote on a series of abortion-related rules or laws in the House just to get Republicans to vote against them. I would like to see some type of resolution that the Senate or the House will not pass a ban, but of course it's Joe Manchin is staying in front of that stuff, or I should say is an obstacle to it. But the White House finally came out with something that I think has both the optics of they're doing as much as they can or they're doing something, I should say, and real legitimate material benefits. We have said many times on this program that the exemption for if a woman's life is in danger was more or less useless.
Yeah.
Because you're forcing hospitals and doctors to make an assessment as to where that state of being, that a woman's life is in jeopardy, starts. Like, does it start where there's a 10% chance, a 5% chance, a 30, a 40, a 50% chance? You could be weeks off from a problem. You could be months off from a problem. I mean, very hard to make that assessment.
And in making that assessment, you're also giving up valuable time that could, be you're wrangling with your lawyers. That's really why it's impossible to actually, create that exception.
And it's going to cause a lot of doctors to just tell women to go somewhere else because they don't want to get arrested. They don't want to serve jail time. They don't want to lose their license. They don't want to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars in fines. This is the same with hospitals. And then, of course, you also have states where there is no exception for the life of a woman. My understanding is that in both those instances, a woman can go to a hospital that receives, that provides Medicare or Medicaid services, which is virtually every hospital in the country, not every, but almost every, gets federal dollars. And if so, they are subject to the Emergency Medical Treatment and Labor Act, EMTALA, which requires that all patients receive an appropriate medical screening, examination, stabilizing treatment, and transfer if necessary, irrespective of any state laws or mandates that apply to specific procedures. If an emergency medical condition is found to exist, the hospital must provide available stabilizing treatment or appropriate transfer, like I say, to another hospital that has capabilities to provide this. If a physician believes that a pregnant patient, and this is a memorandum summary that Becerra sent, if a physician believes that a pregnant patient presenting at an emergency department is experiencing an emergency medical condition as defined by EMTALA, and that abortion is the stabilizing treatment necessary to resolve that condition. Again, like you don't have to, like, it's just an emergency medical condition. That physician must provide that treatment. Must. When a state law prohibits abortion and does not include an exception for the life of the pregnant person or draws the exception more narrowly than the EMTLA's emergency medical condition definition, that state law is preempted. Okay, so who determines whether there is an emergency medical condition within the meaning of the EMTLA? Is it a state judge? Is it a state prosecutor or a county prosecutor or a city prosecutor? No, it would be the responsibility, this is a quote, the responsibility of the examining physician or other qualified medical personnel. So in other words, a doctor's or a nurse's determination that a patient is in an emergency medical condition is the final word and arbiter of this. Emergency medical conditions involving pregnant patients may include, but are not limited to, ectopic pregnancy, complication of pregnancy loss, or emergent hypertensive disorders such as preeclampsia with severe features. I don't know what that is, but again, at least the last one. But I reiterate, they're not limited to that, and these determinations are made by doctors. All right, we're going to take a quick break. I'm going to see if we can fix my camera, and we'll be right back after this. We're back, folks. Apologies for that. We will cut out that piece, at least in the audio podcast. For those of you watching on video,
Absolutely.
what are you going to do, man?
All
All right. So to reiterate, and we've gotten some IMs basically saying that it's going to be risk-averse lawyers who are probably going to be engaging in that. There is also an EMTALA Whistleblower Act. And so there is a lot of force brought to bear on these hospitals. And there is going to be the effectiveness of this order is going to be a function of the Whistleblower Act that is embedded in there.
In what way?
Well, in the sense that if a patient comes in with, let's just say, an ectopic pregnancy, and it's in a state where there is no exception for the life of a mother, just to make this an extreme hypothetical, and the doctor is interested in providing care, or the doctor has been instructed by lawyers at the hospital, we do not do this because we don't want to be embroiled in a state case.
Yeah.
We don't want to be doing that. There's a whistleblower provision within the EMTLA that someone can go and then report on it. And it's really just a question of just how vigorously HHS will fine hospitals found to be in violation.
But the Whistleblower Act could also maybe it could be the reverse, right? In order to maybe go after a doctor, shed light on a doctor who had performed one of these procedures,
No.
and then the state could take action. But I mean,
No. This is a Whistleblower Act within the EMTLA. This is on a federal level. There is no, a whistleblower going and reporting a doctor on a state level, it doesn't matter because federal law, trumps.
Agreed. But as a vehicle to eventually maybe chipping away at this exception that the Biden administration is carving out, doesn't mean that, again, this is the case that Biden's making for not doing other pro-abortion executive orders and actions. So I'm not making that case. I just, in theory, really, maybe the whistleblower clause could allow for.
It's a federal statute,
Yeah,
so it's not going to operate on a state level.
Okay.
But my understanding is that it's up to almost $120,000 per violation of the EMTALA.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And exclusion, I would imagine, either from the hospital or the doctor from Medicaid and Medicare. I mean, so there are major consequences to not following this law. And it really is a question of, and I think early and quick, HHS has to make an example if they come across any one of these cases. But they are putting the memo out there, which sets the predicate. You are now on notice that we are going to start to enforce this. And so,
good way to counteract the bounty system from a lot of these bills in this state law too, right? You got fines on our side now.
Yes, and I think that's the idea. So this is a good first step, and I think there are other things that the Biden administration can do. You mentioned earlier the idea of using federal buildings as, perhaps, a place for abortion providers to work out of. But this is very straightforward and does not have any of the sort of like legal complications that may come with the other move that people are hoping for. We should also say the LA Times has a story about autoimmune patients losing access to what is considered the gold standard drug for some of those ailments like lupus. This story about a patient, Becky Schwartz, got a message from her rheumatologist. This is a notice to let you know that we're pausing all prescriptions and subsequent refills of methotrexate. The decision is made in response to the reversal of Roe v. Wade. Methotrexate is a cheap common drug prescribed to millions of Americans who have rheumatic illnesses. Others take it to treat inflammatory bowel disease, psoriasis, or cancer. And the bottom line is it's used for those things as an off-label to end ectopic pregnancies.
Yeah.
And so this could be restricted in those, by those doctors.
And my understanding, too, is that this patient that was profiled by the LA Times lives in Virginia. So, like, that's not even a state that has gone down the road that these other red states have, even though they now do have a Republican governor. But that could be coming down the pike, but also just the chilling effect that this has from on a national level for half the states in this country to have abortion be illegal. It's not just going to be confined to the borders of those states.
Yep. That's absolutely right.
And
And particularly, I wonder, I imagine right now there are lawyers saying, like, we're part of this hospital group. So if we do this in Virginia, for instance, and we have hospitals in Texas, like, what's our liability? There's a lot of people trying to figure this out. Meanwhile, the FDA is now weighing making an having some contraceptive pills sold over the counter. Supposedly, this application was in effect anyways. Or I should say, was submitted. It was submitted prior to the Roe v. Wade ruling.
Coincidental timing.
Yeah, I wonder.
Right.
But it is, according to the Frederic Wellgren, the HRA Pharma's chief strategic and innovations officer, their application is really a sad coincidence. Birth control is not a solution for abortion access. I wonder if there is, you're going to see that people try and use that if it gets over the counter as a sort of a morning after type of situation.
Right, I know, but that is risky. I don't really know. It depends on the birth control.
Right. But we're not clear what the FDA is going to do, but one hopes that they do okay it and get it out there. Apparently in Europe, that's the case as well. Like I mentioned earlier, Democrats are scheduling votes on abortion access in the House, not so much in the Senate, because Joe Manchin is basically makes everything DOA, and apparently Schumer wants to make sure that they get circuit judges. They're trying to push through as many judges as possible, which frankly I think makes probably the most amount of sense that they can if they know they can't get anywhere, and even to bring any bills to the floor. Use this time to get as many judges as possible, because could lose the Senate come fall. However, I would like to see the Democrats, even if they could get Manchin to sign on to like a non-binding resolution about not banning abortion federally. Certainly do this in the House so that this is something that people can run on in the fall.
Did you say judge? Did you say judges? Because I just wanted to point this out, that HuffPost is reporting, they have a source inside the White House, or a source that was briefed on the White House's plans. We mentioned this last week or whenever this news broke, that the Biden administration was going to nominate Chad Meredith, a Federalist Society anti-abortion judge in Kentucky, to a federal lifetime appointment. And they had planned to announce that pick on the day that Roe v. Wade was overturned, just coincidentally. And then they were like, oh, well, our press release is going to get messed up, so let's just sit on it. And a lot of people like myself, were speculating maybe the blowback from this is going to cause them to retreat, which would be the bare minimum that they could do, because they were planning on nominating this anti-abortion activist in exchange for peanuts from Mitch McConnell when the leaked opinion had already come out.
Yeah.
And now HuffPost is reporting that, nope, it doesn't matter that Roe v. Wade was actually officially overturned, so they have no excuses anymore. Biden is still moving forward with plans to nominate Chad Meredith to a lifetime federal appointment. A lifetime federal appointment. And you wonder why people are feeling discouraged by the Democratic Party right now.
It's unclear to me what the deal is.
I'm looking at a right-wing strategist, Liam Donovan. He says, if it saves time and grief and allows you to push through more noms to the bench while you have the chances, it's probably a good trade, even if it makes the groups mad and creates a messaging headache. Beyond the face value, WTF, most people pushing back based in, again, this is a conservative, in initial reporting that the trade would be good for U.S. attorneys, USA's U.S. attorneys. This posits a broader judicial package. Former makes sense for McConnell, latter makes sense for Dems. Question is whether the incentives line up.
Well, that's the thing. That's really the question. I accept the premise that there could be a deal that makes it worthwhile. One anti-abortion judge in Kentucky, or one more anti-abortion judge, we should say, probably in Kentucky, may not have the material implications if you are actually getting something from McConnell that makes things easier in terms of passing other judges through. The value for McConnell, of course, is not just because whatever personal affinity he has for this judge, but also there's political value in it, right? Because it's going to hurt Democrats. It's going to demoralize them.
We have a Democratic Senate. We do not need to be cutting deals with McConnell on nominating judges.
Well,
as a part of a package,
it depends on what it is. If it's Dick Durbin, not paying attention to blue slips, he could do that. Unilaterally. If it's Mitch McConnell agreeing to not invoke the whatever it is, the limited amount of debate time for each judge. Look, you have a limit, and I don't know what the terms of the deal are.
Well, the fact that terms are not being said to the press indicates it's nothing.
Well,
it's nothing.
No,
it's procedural garbage. Yes.
Well, but procedural garbage. If you have 50 working days on the Senate calendar, and McConnell has the ability, just like the Democrats did, to chew up 10 of those days, it may, and you know that you can get 3 judges in per day, it may be worth getting 30 judges to give up this one. Now,
the fact that
I'm speaking hypothetically, because we don't know what the points of the deal are, but it is possible that there are deals that would work. I don't know what the deal is, but I just think we need to be clear about that, because they do have the ability, an unstoppable ability, to slow up the gears. And the Democrats did this as well.
The fact that they have to make this deal is indictment of their previous urgency. And we shouldn't be in this position where we have to deal with McConnell.
Well, the Obama administration, actually, this goes back to the early days of the Obama administration, where they left a lot of judges vacancies.
I think you're optimistic about the terms of that deal. You're saying it's possible.
No. I'm not making an assessment of what the terms of the deal are, but I do know that there are certainly things that can be done in the context of the Senate that could mean an extra 20 or 30 judges get placed on the bench. And if it's that case, I would do that. If
look, if that is the case, I understand the deal that's being cut. I just I don't have optimism that is the case, given the fact that we've had this story out there for 2 weeks. And if the Biden administration really wanted to take heat off of itself, which it's rightly getting heat for, they would have said, okay, we're going to trade this off, and then we're going to have 30 judges that are going to be put forward through with McConnell in this package deal. It's probably somewhere closer to 10, and the Schumer route of just focusing the rest of the Senate calendar on putting forward those judges is a way better option, because just from a messaging perspective, the Biden administration can afford to do this. I really don't care what the deal is, even if it is what you say. I guess I do, but if it's as charitable as you say, but I don't think it is.
I think we're going to find out after this judge gets nominated. Somebody, I mean, I agree with you. If it is a good deal, we'll hear about it without a doubt.
And the fact that we haven't heard means I don't think it is. And I do think that the Biden administration is playing with fire. I know that Charles Booker is likely not going to win in Kentucky, but you're screwing over a lot of candidates, not just in Kentucky, down ballot on the Democratic ticket with such a muddied message about abortion like this.
Yeah, I mean, I think I think time will tell in terms of the number of judges. But what is the number? Let's put it this way: what is the number of judges that you think it's worth it?
It depends.
Lifetime appointments.
It depends on the calculation of what's left on the Senate calendar.
No, I'm asking you, if there was a way to quantify it, what number of judges? 10, 20, 30?
How many could be fit into the rest of the Senate calendar with the time that we have, if McConnell was holding every one of them up? More than that.
Well, no. I'm saying what number of judges, extra judges, would it be worth it for this deal to go through?
No, I know what the question is. I'm just trying to say.
But what if there was only time for 3 more judges? That wouldn't be enough, right?
If there were only time?
I don't know how much time.
No. I think the question is there's going to be extra judges that are going to be available to be confirmed because of this. Now, again, well, that's the point. I mean, I think undoubtedly, but the question is how many, and if it's Dick Durbin with blue slips, that's ridiculous because he could do that unilaterally. And I've read somewhere that maybe that was part of it or maybe not. So I'm just hypothetically speaking, if this meant 10 more judges vacancies filled, because there's a lot of vacancies still. If it was 10 more filled, would that be sufficient? If it was 20 more, would that be sufficient?
Sure, yes. But I
mean... They better be consistent pro-abortion, though.
Oh, yeah. Presuming that there's no more anti-abortion judges and these are good picks. I mean, there's a lot of things contingent. This is a hypothetical. I'm just asking.
I'm saying it is whatever is a significant, 10 more than could be done in the time allotted with McConnell still obstructing. Does that answer your question?
Well, this deal is to get him to obstruct less.
Maybe.
Well, I mean, presumably. I mean,
if it fails,
then
it's a bad deal.
If McConnell stabs them in the back with it, yes, it's a bad deal.
We have a ton, but
if the deal does not allow them to get any more judges, then it's absurd.
We have a ton of evidence to suggest that McConnell is not a trustworthy person to be negotiating with. I think you have, on principle, you don't do this kind of stuff.
I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, I'm not. I don't have the details of the deal to know. And
I mean, I think you could think of 50 pro-abortion judges. That's a good deal, but I don't think the Democrats deserve the benefit of the doubt on that stuff.
Right. I mean, broadly speaking, it certainly looks bad for the Democrats, no doubt. And we definitely know what the downside of this is that it muddies the message. Without a doubt. We don't know what the supposed upside is. We don't know why they're doing it. It's not impossible to imagine the Democrats coming out and just shooting themselves in the foot for this because they really like the look of blood coming out of their toes. But
pretty color.
But I think we just got to be aware of that potential dynamic. And for me personally, at the end of the day, I would take 10 judges, progressive judges, for that one coming out of Kentucky, frankly. Just because 10 judges is better than one. I want to fill all those vacancies. And if that's what it takes, I would do it. Anything less, or if it was something that could have been done unilaterally by the Senate, then I would say no. But that's, for me, that's what I would do.
Yeah, the Durbin pig slip thing is something that just needs to be dealt with.
I think.
Blue slip. Right. If it's a blue slip thing by Durbin, I will honestly crap my pants. I'll
I'm like, I don't know. I think that's more likely than you might think, just because of how we don't have the terms, and it's been 2 weeks. If they wanted to take heat off themselves, they would tell us.
I am not even addressing that. Like the idea that I'm just saying that the potential for a good deal exists. Do I have faith in this administration for pursuing it? Not really. But I'm just raising that point. If it was 10 judges, and
I get it.
I would take it. But I would not be shocked to find out that it was, whatever, the blue slips, or just that it was something much smaller. I don't know.
All right. Sam doesn't know. Deal.
We will find out. We've
struck a deal.
We'll revisit this in 3 weeks.
Exactly. And I think we will hear about it at one point from somebody. Getting back to the hearings for a moment, new polling out today from Morning Consult. 66% of voters say Trump attempted to overturn the 2020 election. 66% say he claimed the election was fraudulent without evidence. 59% say he misled the public on the outcome of the election. 44% of Republicans say Trump lied about the election results. That's up 7 points since the end of June.
Yeah, that's good.
I think this is actually great.
Does it matter if he runs again in 2024? I think they'll probably forgive a lot. Republican voters.
Oh, no. This is, without a doubt. That's the thing, is that I think that, really, I'm not terribly interested in the what happens with the Republicans, because, like I said at the top of the show, did I say this at the top of the show?
We said it off air.
Oh, okay.
That's why I was trying to.
Yeah, I went back and I looked at the polling from 2016. And here, Matt, you can pop this up on the screen. Let me send this to you. And Donald Trump was at no higher than 35% until March 20th of 2016, when there was only two more, and there should be a scroll down. You can see that graph. Okay, that purple line and that black line represent John Kasich and Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz, one of the most hated people who are in our government, I think.
Yeah.
And John Kasich, the other most hated person in the Republican Party. And it wasn't until then that Trump hits, keep going forward until you get to that thing shoots up. Yeah, right there. That's what?
March 21st.
Yeah, and that's the only time he's above 40%. Here's the thing with Trump is that, that 35% of the Republican Party,
it's the best 35,
that supports him, they're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
And there's no one else who can claim to have that strong of support in the Republican Party. What I like about these numbers that are coming out of the Jan 6 thing is that these are numbers that are going to have implications in the general election.
Yes.
And so,
it means that the Jan 6 hearings are effective, in my opinion. I mean,
I agree. I mean, it's hard to imagine what else they were attempting to do. It'll be interesting to see if they can start to tie it to other members of Congress and implicate the Republican Party, or if they have any interest in doing so, which at this point it looks like they don't, just based upon the whole MAGA, Uber MAGA ultra,
MAGA
strategy.
Ultron.
Exactly.
And I'm not sure if Republicans want to admit this in terms of the committee, that they, Tim Scott was saying it, I think McCarthy was saying it, there's no chance for cross-examination. Yeah, not anymore. You guys decided to not do it. You could have brought witnesses. You could have participated and said, this didn't happen, but you made the choice to disallow cross-examination.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Well, I think they are happy. I think largely the Republican Party is happy with these numbers. I think they're probably more happy than they should be. But it is no coincidence that you're seeing all these moves by DeSantis right now.
Yeah.
Right? You have we've had a 1 month period of time where these hearings have happened, maybe even less. And this is the time that DeSantis is making his move. This is the time you're starting to hear Republicans leak these stories about Trump is in trouble. They waited for the Hutchinson testimony, but you sort of knew that they were going to try and do this. And again, I wouldn't be surprised if there were 4chan posters right now, or people, posting on Twitter with hashtag, Trump, or going into, truth, whatever that social media, Truth Social or whatever it is, or doing Rumble videos, claiming that DeSantis is behind a lot of what we're seeing with these Jan 6
They might be
hearings.
onto something too. I don't know.
I would imagine that would create a lot of discord, and not the good kind like we have at majoritydiscord.com. I'm saying like
Majority Discord.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
I'm saying like it would cause that would be like an Operation Chaos type of thing.
Yeah.
That if someone wanted to do that, so you never know. People are funny that way.
The Republicans that's why they keep propping up DeSantis. I keep saying it. They want Trump without the January 6th baggage, which is why keep it up with the January 6th stuff. Like, I want Democrats to be doing substantive things for people as much as anybody, 100%. And I wish they did, and I wish they were able to deliver and had those feathers in their cap going into the midterms, but they don't. So keep up with the January 6th negative partisanship, because that's useful in and of itself. Yeah. And when you see how CNN, I see the CNN and MSNBC on at the gym, right? They're always talking about Jan 6, Jan 6, Jan 6, Jan 6. This is like a taste of what Fox News has been doing to the Democratic Party for 20 years, which is like coordinated media attacks and hammering home a certain message until it gets into the public consciousness. And now look at the poll numbers that they're indicating. It's made a huge difference. Fox has been doing this they try with Dr. Seuss, but they were doing it for decades with Benghazi, with the Hillary server, whatever it needs to be. They've been successful. And this is a taste of what could have been if the Democrats were better at weaponizing the media and negative partisanship.
And it's not, it's not just like, it's not that hard to weaponize the media. You have to do these things over and over again. They had they had 55 votes to get rid of the Affordable Care Act. They had 6 different hearings. Was it on Benghazi or 5? Major hearings. And the media follows what the parties do. So,
I would agree with Emma about I'd prefer they do Medicare for all and loan forgiveness and stuff like that. But this is actually standing up for the integrity of elections is actually material.
This is pretty material stuff.
Yeah.
It is. We do need that. One final IM, and then we'll go into the fun F. Can you explain why there are always many dozens of federal judgeships that can constantly be filled at any time? Are the Dems and Republicans always just court packing, or is that a branch of government perpetually short-staffed? Is there a theoretical point where these seats could be filled and they couldn't anymore? Please explain. The Obama administration was very, very slow to do judges. They were dealing with the Affordable Care Act. Look, you have a limited amount of resources in the White House, right? If the chief of staff is running everything, there's only so many hours in a day. And they also want control over these things. They're not going to just, completely farm it out to somebody. Or at least they didn't at that time. And they had the financial crisis, they had the ACA, and they simply did not prioritize judges. It was a huge mistake, but that's what they did. And so it created a lot of vacancies because people retire. And so there was a lot of vacancies for Donald Trump to fill when he came in. During the Biden administration, they have moved faster on lifetime appointments in the federal judgeship than any administration in the past. However, there's a lot of judges out there who are going, I'm 70, I'm 68, I'm 72. Now's the time for me to retire so that Biden can fill my seat with a good judge. Because I don't want to retire if Trump comes back in 2 years. So they all retired. And so there's again, a lot of vacancies. So, you're never going to come in and fill every single vacancy. It's just not going to happen. But if you've got 50 or 60 vacancies, if you've got a big number of vacancies, you want to fill those. You want to fill them because they are lifetime appointments. And you are creating a bench for a Supreme Court, and you're inhibiting the ability of Republicans to fill those positions. That's it. I don't know off the top of my head, but I just saw that number, and it had gone up from where it was when Biden was in there, despite the fact that he's been filling these seats faster than any other administration. So,
There's
all right.
I went to a website. There is a judicial vacancies aggregate on uscourts.gov.
And these are
For district courts, 66 vacancies. Court of Appeals, 8. There's total 78 vacancies and 21 pending nominees.
And how many have we filled already, I think, during this administration? I don't think it's...
that does not
we
come
can find
up
that.
here.
But you want to get those district court judges first, and then you want to get the... you want to get the circuit court judges first, and then you want to get the district court judges. All right, we're going to take a quick break and head into the fun half of the program. This Matthew from Philadelphia said, regarding the Citizens United debate, Destiny went off yesterday about you not knowing the terms of several marriage contracts between the House of Stark and House Frey, struck by King in the North, Robb Stark. So there you go. All right, we're going to take a quick break and head into the fun half. Remember, you can be a part of this program by IMing at via the app at majorityapp.com. You can call the program. 646-257-3920 is the number. Don't forget, justcoffee.coop, fair trade coffee, tea, or chocolate. Use the coupon code majority, get 10% off. Matt, what's happening in the Matt Leckian Media universe?
Yeah, patreon.com/Left Reckoning to get our Sunday show with Milton Alamati on the New York Times and other media's role in apartheid and colonization in Africa. And for this Wednesday, Marcus the Left Flank Vets going to be joining David and I talk about being a vet in the military and also in media.
Oh, and maybe I'll talk about that tomorrow. All right, we'll see you in the fun half. 3 months from now, 6 months from now, 9 months from now, and I don't think it's going to be the same as it looks like in 6 months from now, and I don't know if it's necessarily going to be better 6 months from now than it is 3 months from now, but I think around 18 months out, we're going to look back and go like, wow. What? What is that going on? It's nuts. Wait a second. Hold on for a second.
The Majority Report.
Emma, welcome to the program.
Hey.
Matt.
What is up, everyone?
Nomi Key.
You did it. Let's go, Brandon.
Let's go, Brandon.
Bradley, you want to say hello?
Sorry to disappoint everyone. I'm just a random guy.
It's all the boys today.
Fundamentally false.
No, I'm sorry. Women's...
Stop talking for a second and let me finish.
Where is this coming from, dude?
But dude, you want to smoke this 7A?
Yes.
Hi, me? Is this?
Yes.
Is this me?
Is it me?
It is you.
Is this me? Hello? Is this me?
I think it is you. Who is you? No sound. Every single frickin' day. What's on your mind?
Sports. We can discuss free markets and we can discuss capitalism.
I'm gonna go throw up.
Libertarians.
They're so stupid, though.
Common sense says, of course.
Gobbledygook.
We fucking nailed him.
So what's 79 plus 21?
Challenge met.
I'm positively quivering. I believe 96, I want to say.
857-210-35-501. 1/2. 3/8.
9/11, for instance.
$3,400, $1,900.
654 $3 trillion sold. It's a zero-sum game.
Actually, you're making me think less of it.
But let me say this. Poop.
You call it satire. Sam goes, it's satire.
On top of it all, my favorite part about you is just like every day, all day, like everything you do.
Without a doubt. Hey, buddy, we see you. All right, folks.
It's just the week being weeded out, obviously.
Yeah, sun's out, guns out. I don't know.
But you should know.
People just don't like to entertain ideas anymore.
I have a question. Who cares?
Our chat is enabled, folks.
I love it.
I do love that.
Look, gotta jump. Gotta be quick. I gotta jump.
I'm losing it, bro.
2 o'clock. We're already late, and the guy's being a dick. So screw him. Sent to a gulag?
Outrageous.
Like, what is wrong with you?
Love you. Bye.
Love you. Bye-bye. Hello. We are back. It is the Majority Report, ladies and gentlemen.
Have you addressed the elephant in the room? You're wearing a new shirt today.
Oh, yeah. I am. Wow. That is true.
Brand new?
Spend a lot of time together.
The shirt is new for me, but actually, to be honest with you, like, I have trouble buying clothes. I'm not good at it. And I had this one shirt that was like this that was blue, and I like it. And I'm like, I want another one of those. And so I Googled it, and it turned out it turned out that I had got it from Stitch Fix, but they don't have it anymore. And so I Googled it, and it came up on Poshmark. So it is
secondhand.
It is secondhand, but I was assured in the ad for Poshmark that it was washed but never worn.
Ah.
Yeah. So. Not that I have any problem wearing, like, I bought secondhand clothes all the time.
Yeah.
But
it's a good thing to do for the environment.
yeah. And so, but what do you think? I mean,
I like it. Yeah.
There you go.
Okay.
All right.
All
There
right.
you go, folks. We'll open up the phone so that people can comment on my shirt.
But only that.
But only on the shirt. We're only going to be taking sartorial calls today. Let's get to this.
I just want a reminder that we have that clip not in sound of our friend of the show sparring with Josh Hawley.
Oh yeah, let's do this. All right, right now there is a hearing. What hearing is this? All right, let's get more information on this.
It's the Senate Judiciary Committee hearing about abortion access in the law.
Okay, and a former guest of ours, Kiara, what's Kiara's?
Bridges.
Kiara Bridges.
Kiara Bridges. She was a professor from Stanford, or is it
UC Berkeley?
UC Berkeley.
Again, this is happening right now. So.
And this is happening right now. And she apparently sparred with Josh Hawley, one of the Jan 6 insurrectionists from the inside, over the question of abortion. Remember, he is really trying to solidify the fundamentalist base of the Republican Party, which is also what all the other Republicans are doing, because that's who
so he's trying to one up others and his transphobia here. That's how he weaves that into the abortion debate.
Professor Bridges, you said several times, you've used a phrase, I want to make sure I understand what you mean by it. You've referred to people with a capacity for pregnancy. Would that be women?
Many women, cis women, have the capacity for pregnancy. Many cis women do not have the capacity for pregnancy. There are also trans men who are capable of pregnancy, as well as non-binary people who are capable of pregnancy.
So this isn't really a women's rights issue.
We can recognize that this impacts women while also recognizing that it impacts other groups. Those things are not mutually exclusive, Senator Hawley.
Oh, so your view is that the core of this right then is about what?
So I want to recognize that your line of questioning is transphobic, and it opens up trans people to violence by not recognizing that.
Wow, you're saying that I'm opening up people to violence by asking whether or not women are the folks who can have pregnancies?
So I want to note that 1 out of 5 transgender persons have attempted suicide. So I think it's important
because of my line of questioning? So we can't talk about it?
Because denying that trans people exist and pretending not to know that they exist.
I'm denying that trans people exist by asking you if you're talking about women having pregnancies?
Do you believe that men can get pregnant?
No, I don't think women can get
So you are
pregnant.
denying that trans people exist?
And that leads to violence? Is this how you run your classroom? Are students allowed to question you, or are they also treated like this, where
No,
they're told that they're opening up people to violence?
We have a good time in my class. You should join.
I bet.
You might learn a lot.
Wow, I would learn a lot. I've learned a lot just in this exchange.
Absolutely.
Extraordinary.
Yep.
Ms. Matsky.
Wow. He just got spanked all over there. Now, to be clear, I mean, what she did was incredibly brave, because I will guarantee you that clip will be on Tucker Carlson tonight, and Tucker Carlson will make her pay for that. That is what his job is. His job is to make sure that she is scared shitless of ever doing that again. And so folks should
get her back.
Get on Twitter, get her back, because I guarantee you they are going to demonize the shit out of her.
Yep.
And
a black woman talking about trans rights is
daring to talk back to Josh Hawley.
Exactly.
And not just take that line of questioning, right? I mean, she reframed it in such an amazing, perfect way. First of all, just, I don't know. It takes a lot of bravery, as you say, because of what she's going to face as a black woman and in this public forum. But just the fact that she also said not all women can get pregnant, too. When you expand the understanding of healthcare to include trans people and talk about how and sometimes, I'll fall into it, say women as a shorthand in terms of who will get protected by abortion. But, I'm trying to get more in the habit of it as well, to say people who can get pregnant. You are being inclusive about women who don't have the capacity to get pregnant, yes, or cis women. And two, trans men as well, non-binary people. And the fact that she's being aggressive and not hiding from that messaging really, really does wonders. And it's important.
Because she's right. Like, the idea that, just for an example, for somebody who's still confused about this, let's walk through it really slowly. Let's say somebody is assigned female at birth, but then becomes non-binary and doesn't associate with that. Regardless of whether they do any sort of other kind of intervention, that is enough to not call that person a woman, even if they get pregnant. You're an asshole if you insist on calling that person a woman. That's just simple. This is just, these categories, it's fun. Their base is fundamentalist, which is why they can state this stuff so clearly. And yeah,
Josh Hawley was so excited.
Yeah.
For this line of questioning, because they sat in his office with his cadre of fundamentalist, lib owners, and thought about we're really gonna nail her on this. We're gonna nail her on this. This is gonna be great. And he just got put to bed. Folks want her Twitter handle. She's not on Twitter, so I don't know.
That's probably why she's also has such clear thought processes.
Well, yeah, share the video. Also, obviously, not to just plug us. Like, our interviews with her have been fantastic. There's a lot of great YouTube videos of her talking about a lot of different things. So definitely worth checking out. She's awesome.
Yep, really great. And that was. Let's play that again.
Yes.
She was so adept at this. And both in terms of just the on paper, in terms of the answers, but the basically communicating to him come at me again. And he didn't. He knew better.
I want to make sure I understand what you mean by it. You've referred to people with a capacity for pregnancy. Would that be women?
Oh, look how smug he is on this.
Many women, cis women, have the capacity for pregnancy. Many cis women do not have the capacity for pregnancy. There are also trans men who are capable of pregnancy, as well as non-binary people who are capable of pregnancy.
Perfect. So this isn't really a women's rights issue.
We can recognize that this impacts women while also recognizing that it impacts other groups. Those things are not mutually exclusive, Senator Hawley.
Oh, so your view is that the core of this right then is about what?
So I want to recognize that your line of questioning is transphobic, and it opens up trans people to violence by not recognizing that.
Wow, you're saying that I'm opening up people to violence by asking whether or not women are the folks who can have pregnancies?
So I want to note that 1 out of 5 transgender persons have attempted suicide. So I think it's important
Because of
for
my
us-
line of questioning? So
Because-
we can't talk about it?
because denying that trans people exist and pretending not to know that they exist
I'm
is
denying that trans
dangerous.
people exist by
Are
asking
you?
you if you're
Are
talking
you?
about women
Are you?
having pregnancies.
Do you believe that men can get pregnant?
No, I don't think women can
So
get
you are
pregnant.
denying that trans people exist?
And that leads to violence? Is this how you run your classroom? Are students allowed to question you? Or are
Absolutely.
they also treated like this, where
No, no, no,
they're
they're
told
allowed
that
to
they're
question
opening up people to
Oh,
violence
we have a good
by
time in my
questioning?
class. You should join.
Oh, I bet.
You might learn a lot.
Wow, I would learn a lot. I've learned a
You-
lot
I
just in this
know,
exchange.
absolutely.
Extraordinary.
Yep.
Ms. Matsky.
Yep. It didn't quite go. He didn't quite have the dominance that he would have wanted for the trip that he's going to make to Tucker Carlson tonight to talk about this.
Although it doesn't necessarily matter too much because
They'll clip it in the.
They'll say he owned her and
Absolutely,
you know
of
like
course.
she's what are her credentials? Let's see her LSAT scores.
One thing I will say is that this is not to disparage KBJ at all, because I don't think I don't think there was a reason like this to answer that question from like Marsha Blackburn or whoever about what is a woman or whatever. But I think like take this as a roadmap if you're testifying in this way, or if you're on a program or something. This is how you answer that question. This is how you answer that question without pivoting or deflecting or saying I'm not going to dive into this. You can dive into this and answer this correctly.
Right. And the amazing thing is, and this, folks, you can apply this in every situation where you are watching any public communications. The last refuge for someone who thinks like a conservative, understand this. This is what the conservative brain, this is essentially what conservatism is at the end of the day. It is aggrievement. And when he pivots into like, oh, is this what you do to kids in your class? You don't let them ask questions? And you say that the questions could cause harm? That aggrievement, you can see it everywhere. And it is the biggest tell for either a conservative or just someone who's playing the conservative grift. You can see it with YouTubers complaining about their demonetization. Whether it's like, Dave Rubin used to, I'm getting this demonetized, I'm getting that demonetized, or I've been kicked off of Twitter, or anybody else. Anybody else. I don't even care what they pretend. I would love to see an academic study of the rate in which conservatives cry about demonetization as opposed to anybody in the center or center left. I mean, these things happen. But it is always like a huge aggrievement. I can't even express an opinion anymore without being criticized for it. It's an aggrievement. We need to be in the marketplace of ideas. My ideas need to be ensconced in a bubble, in a no criticize zone. And if I get criticized, oh my gosh. Like they can't even bring up the snowflake criticism anymore because their aggrievement is so intense that they've got to spread these things out a little bit.
It's also funny, Holly comes around to almost arguing for a conservative safe space with regards to his questions. Like, is this how I would be treated if I was in your class? Like, if you're a little smug little punk, like I imagine you were at Stanford and Yale, where you went to, yeah, I imagine like some teachers can be a little bit snippy.
You could either do that, or you could sue the Humanist Report for saying that you hate trans people. Nothing.
Calling from a 202 area code. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
Hey, how's it going? I'm Mark, and I am calling from Arizona.
Mark from Arizona. What's on your mind, Mark?
Yes. So I've actually been listening to your guys' show for a while, and one of my buddies got me to you. With that said, though, we have vehement disagreements on one particular thing, and pretty much what I vote on, and that would be guns.
Okay.
So with that said,